If you are a recent college grad, here's the truth. You spent 4 years earning a degree and now you're more likely to be unemployed than someone without one. AI is reshaping entire industries and big tech's cut hiring in half. Law schools are quietly panicking. It's chaos, but chaos creates leverage. And right now, there's a crack in the system. If you understand what's happening and you act fast, you can use this moment to your advantage. Let's talk about how. This moment is not just unusual, it's strategic. Right now, law school applications are up significantly. In some cases, over 30% from last year. That is a major surge. But don't just look at the numbers, look at what's behind them. We're coming out of a cycle now where people delayed law school due to the pandemic, financial uncertainty, and job market chaos. Now they're all coming back in at the same time. And combine that with what's happening outside of law. Corporate hiring is down, entry-level jobs are evaporating, and remote work has made junior-level roles even more competitive. Grad school in general has become a more appealing backup plan. So what do you get? A rush of people all going to grad school looking for clarity, direction, and security. Law school in particular can feel like it's a clear next step. It's got structure, it's got prestige, and it's got a path forward when everything else feels chaotic. But here's where most people stop thinking and where you can start playing the game differently. Yes, law school is a path, but it's also an investment. And this exact moment is an opportunity if you know how to use it. Because while interest in law school is up, law schools aren't just taking anybody, they're under pressure themselves. Budgets are getting cut, enrollment targets are rising, and the universities are squeezing them for revenue. Major law schools risk watching their rankings slip if they admit too many unqualified candidates. And that's the sweet spot. They need qualified students who they know can succeed. And that puts you in a position of leverage. That means more control over where you go to school, a stronger case for getting scholarships, and a better shot at negotiating your future, whether it's from financial aid to internships to clerkships. And here's what unlocks that leverage for you. It's not your undergraduate major, it's not your GPA, and it's not your resume. It is your LSAT score. Because unlike everything else in your application, the LSAT is standardized. It's apples to apples, it's objective, and it's scalable. Schools can look at a 174 and immediately understand what kind of student you are. It gives them confidence that you're going to be able to handle the workload academically, that you'll pass the bar, that you're going to get hired, and that you're going to make them look good in the US News rankings. And that's why I keep coming back to this. This moment is a unique window in time, but windows close. There's a short-term opportunity here because once the wave of applicants stabilizes and law schools no longer need to fill seats the same way, that leverage disappears. Right now, if you bring the right LSAT score to the table, you're going to walk in a powerful negotiating position. You're not begging to get in, you are choosing your outcome. So the plan here is simple. You've got to understand how this moment works, train for the one metric that gives you leverage, the LSAT, and then use your LSAT score to unlock options that most people never even see. That's how smart students turn chaos into opportunity, and it starts right now. Let's talk about the thing quietly reshaping the entire professional world right now, artificial intelligence. Everyone's talking about it, but most people still don't understand what it actually means for you, especially if you're thinking about law school. So here's the reality. Since 2022, big tech has cut new grad hiring by more than half, not just in engineering, not just in marketing, across the board. Why? Because AI is now doing the work junior employees used to do. It's faster, it's cheaper, and it's more scalable. And the first wave of industries to feel the pressure: journalism, customer service, marketing, finance, and yes, law. The legal field is as well. You may have even seen the headlines. AI can draft contracts in seconds, it passes the bar exam, and it can review legal documents faster and better than humans can. That is already happening. Now, does this mean that law is dead? That becoming a lawyer is totally pointless? No, of course not. But it does mean that you need to be smarter about how you position yourself. Because here's what's really going on. Law schools themselves don't know what the legal job market will look like 3 years from now. And they're not going to tell you this publicly, but behind closed doors, some are shrinking their class sizes, while others are expanding recklessly to chase tuition revenue in the short term. And no one really can agree on what's going to happen next. So what does this mean for you? It means you can't rely on this system to protect you. You need to make yourself as irreplaceable as possible. And here's the good news. While AI can do tasks, it can't actually think like a lawyer. Yet anyway. It certainly can't build trust with a client or read between the lines or understand cultural nuance. It definitely can't make ethical judgments, and it can't handle ambiguity in a courtroom or in a negotiation. AI is great at one thing, which is pattern matching, but it doesn't really understand people. And law, at the end of the day, is about people. So how do you prove that you can do what AI can't? You start with the LSAT, because the LSAT doesn't care about facts or about trivia. It doesn't reward memorization, and it doesn't care where you went to school or who wrote your rec letter. It's a test of your thinking. It asks, can you see the flaw in an argument? Can you hold multiple ideas in tension at once? And can you separate assumptions from conclusions under time pressure? That's what law actually is. And that's why a high LSAT score is worth more now than ever before. And I've been seeing this play out for the past 20 years. Students come to me scoring in the low 150s, totally overwhelmed by the test. And once we train them to think differently, once they learn to slow down, question assumptions, and focus on logic, their scores jump. And that's not just by 2 to 3 points. I'm talking 15, 25-point gain. And of course, full disclosure here, all the appropriate disclaimers, your results may vary. My students' results are not typical. Our students are unique. But regardless, if you can get those kinds of increases, that doesn't just change your chances of getting in. It changes the entire shape of your legal career. Because suddenly, you're not just applying to law schools, you're getting offers, you're getting merit scholarships, interviews at top firms after you graduate. And this can open doors that weren't even visible to you before. And that's all because these students mastered a skill set that AI can't touch: strategic reasoning. And that's why the LSAT isn't just a hurdle, it's your first competitive advantage. Now let's talk about how law school admissions really works right now. Forget the brochures, forget the language about holistic admissions, forget the social media posts where they're saying every applicant has a fair shot. Law schools, at the end of the day, are businesses, and right now, they're under pressure like never before. Behind the scenes, their funding's getting cut, their alumni donations are drying up, their rankings are bouncing around all over the place, and the central universities are demanding they increase yield without lowering standards. Translation: law schools need you more than you need them if you are the right kind of student. Not a maybe sort of applicant, not a we'll see how they do kind of applicant. They want sure bets. I mean, think about it from their perspective. If you're the dean of admissions, your job is on the line if your students drop out, if they fail the bar, if they can't get hired, or if your school drops 10, 12 points in the rankings. So they're asking a different question now when they look at your application. Not just, can we admit this person, but can we rely on them to succeed? That's the new game in town. And most people applying don't even know that it's being played. So how do you stand out? Not by writing a slightly better personal statement, not by joining another club or adding another internship to your resume, but you stand out by giving them a signal that's impossible to ignore, and that's your LSAT score. Now here's why. Unlike your GPA or your major or your work experience, the LSAT is standard, it's transparent, and it's directly tied to outcomes that law schools care about. And it's one that they can quantify. They know, statistically, that students who score higher on the LSAT are more likely to succeed academically, pass the bar, get jobs, and improve their school's ranking. So when they see a high LSAT score, it's like you're walking in with a big blinking sign that says, I make your life easier. You're not a risk, you are a win for them. And this is where most people miss the opportunity. They treat the LSAT like it's an unfair barrier or it's a hoop to jump through, something to get past. But if you treat it like a tool of leverage, everything changes. It becomes the reason you get into better schools. It becomes the reason you get scholarships. And it's the reason you walk into 1L orientation already respected. And in some cases, it can be the reason you graduate with zero debt while your classmates have 6 figures of debt. That's the power of seeing the system for what it is and learning to play it well. So here's the plan. You want to stop treating the LSAT like a chore and start treating it like a strategic investment. You want to learn how to prep the right way, not longer, but smarter, and you want to use your score as a signal to rise above the noise. Because in a crowded, uncertain, AI-disrupted market, a 175 plus LSAT score is still one of the clearest ways to say, I belong here and I'm ready to lead. Now let's set aside all the tactics for a moment. Put down the data, step away from the strategy, forget the AI headlines, the application cycles, and the rankings, and just ask yourself this. Why law? Why are you really here right now? Why are you even considering this path? Because law school and the LSAT, they're not things you do by accident. They're not things you do for fun. You're not watching a breakdown of law school admissions trends because you're bored. You're here because deep down, you've felt the pull. Maybe it started with a class you took. Maybe it was watching an injustice and thinking to yourself, that isn't right and that shouldn't be happening. Maybe it's the way people come to you for help when things get complicated. Or maybe it's something simpler, something unshakable that says, I want to matter. If that's even a tiny part of why you're here, listen to that voice. Because right now, this exact moment is shaping the next version of you. We're living in a world that is unpredictable. Jobs are changing, institutions are under pressure, and systems that used to seem solid are now showing cracks. And in the middle of that, there's a small group of people who are asking themselves a different question. What if I could actually make things better? What if I didn't wait for things to get easier, and what if I took control right now? That's who this video is for. And if you've made it this far, I'm guessing that's who you are. I've coached thousands of students since 2005, and I've watched them wrestle with that doubt, wondering if they're smart enough, struggling with imposter syndrome, burning out, getting back up, and rising up to the challenge. And the ones who make it, they're the ones who make one quiet decision before anything else. They chose to act when things were unclear. Not when everything was perfect, not when they felt ready, not when someone else gave them permission. They acted when it was still scary, because that's what leadership looks like. And that's what this path really is. It's not about becoming a lawyer. It's about becoming someone who thinks like one, someone who sees complexity and moves toward it, someone who doesn't just react to the world, but reshapes it. You don't need to be fearless. You just need to move before you feel ready. Because moments like this, they don't last and they don't wait, so make it count.